call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock.
What if somebody objects?
Well, you're making a statement. You could just call a meeting order at 5
Yeah.
o'clock.
So we're gonna hold off reviewing the minutes of December 4th's meeting till that's here next week or our next meeting. Signing warrants, signing abatements, signing refunds in progress. Art wanted to hold off on the ZBA decision. I don't know if you had any information on that or if you had any information on that.
I don't have any information there.
Okay. All right, stations 1, 2, and 4.
Oh, good. Let's see, the pilot's done, they're working, they came out and we're looking at sites, so I think they're still discussing that. So I haven't heard anything more back on that one yet. And they've gotta wait for the pilot results he'll issue a summary of fact, and then they'll go from there.
All right, station 3.
All right, so lots there. Lost my ox, got my ox back at a minimal level. We cheated the system, got it running. The meteor, the PFAS meteor, it's all piped. They debugged the electrical today as best they could because there's live water on every side and there's no block valves. Because it's basically a pilot study, short-term solution.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a sense to put a ton of money into it if it's gonna be all ripped apart to be repiped into the system.
Right.
So tomorrow they're gonna load the gravel and they're all set up to do that, it's on site. And then behind that requires a 2-hour sitting time in chlorinated water. After that, they'll load the media, that has to sit, I forget how many hours because it expands as the water gets to it. And then they go into backwashing and pre-washing, and then it's ready to go.
Okay.
Hopefully on Wednesday, we send it out to the street, yeah.
Start removing PFAS.
Yep. So we failed well, we didn't fail, but we had a high number. We had 27.8, I think, on our last PFAS test.
The one that we were hoping was 17.4.
Yeah, so we had exactly the opposite occur. So our average is 23 point something. I alerted Mass DEP. They said that they have to wait for, they get it electronically through EDPEP. So they said, just wait. They gave me the format already so that I could start editing that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what happens with PFAS removal so that I hopefully can add that in and say, yes, we've exceeded in the last quarter. It's an exceedance. It's a lifetime advisory. However, we are now treating it. So we won't know the actual results till we take our first test, but we should be treating down to 0.
When will that be, the first test?
So I'll ask them once we start running when they want to do it. But I'd like to do it in January, the 1st of January. So I'd do it as fast as I can in January. That way it's my monthly, because I have to still do it monthly. So it'll be my first month. But they have taps too. So it's at some point they're going to want me to start sampling. There are 3 taps on the side. And that can get really expensive because it's $600 a test. So if you've got 3 taps, that's $1,800 each test.
Right.
So we'll see what they want. And DEP will have requirements too.
So after the PFAS is run for a period of time, does it get backwashed? Like,
You can't
Just-
backwash that. No, it's a
I was gonna
once
say-
through. Like the green sand is regenerative. We excite it with permanganate and, molecularly change it so that it adsorbs onto it. And the same happens with the PFAS. It adsorbs onto the media, except you can't backwash. It's considered a hazardous waste. It's a once and done thing. You can't backwash it out. So eventually that media becomes hazardous waste. So eventually when we go to the long-term solution, there'll be dual tank lead lag tanks. So you'll have at a minimum 2 tanks, possibly 4. DEP will make that decision. So you'll always have 1 ready to go or you'll have 3 ready to go.
Right.
But I think it cost us $84,000 to fill up this first one. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with the next ones. It
That's how
becomes
much it costs
costly.
in media?
Yeah,
84,000
yeah.
per unit.
And then we'll have the cost of disposing it. And
Yep,
then
and
punishing
then
it again when it,
Right, so they're still working, I've seen some companies have talked about ways to destroy it, or self-destruct the PFAS. So as time goes on, they may find a way to break it down, but right now, there's no, you know, it's like nuclear waste.
yeah, right.
Forever.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, but not.
Right, it's not as hazardous, no.
Right.
We won't have giant cockroaches running around.
Okay.
Alright. It's time for some good news. Replacement
Oh,
valve.
So, no, we'll stay on station 3, I forgot.
Okay.
So we received 4-log approval,
Okay.
which with it sets off a few other things. 4-log approval is 99.99% of deactivation or removal of viruses. Now, most people, you look at water, you can't see what's actually in it. It's there. Because we took, we couldn't clear the E. coli hit we took on the river well, that's when they made us shut it down. So we now have it back. I pulled a sample. The sample's clear, but I just have to get my ducks in a row because now we're required to carry a certain chlorination level. You can't go below it. If you go below it, you have a certain time to get back within spec or you have to shut down. And then you have to send out notifications that you fell below. So I just found the sheet now. I asked DEP for it and they didn't get back to me. So I found it now just before I came out here. I'll set the calculations and we'll be pretty much ready to go. But right now our concentration is on the PFAS portion of it and then I'll bring it up the other way.
Good.
The VFD, well, if you listen really carefully, it's hard to tell, but they're on the other side of that wall humming away.
Perfect.
So they're up and running. They're programmed right now to run at 100%. Mike wanted to wait to make sure there weren't any bugs on startup or shutdown. Once we're sure there's no bugs, then he'll come in and program a screen where we can change it so that we set a flow rate and then, you know, the wells will adhere to that. But then we can also individually grab a well and say, all right, we only want you to run at 80% and the other one can run at 100% and it'll still make up the flow rate.
Do you know how much you're putting out at 100 right now?
Right now, we're putting out about 610, I think.
Wow.
So we get a lot out of that well now because they're both clean. That's why I need to clean Norman Ave. Norman Ave should be 500 and currently we're only getting 4 out of it.
All right.
So it's due for cleaning. Once we get through the PFAS portion and I know I've got Manley back all the way, then I'll call in Mar and have them clean the wells.
Walnut Street tank.
So I haven't heard anything more on the altitude valves out of them. They know pretty much that there's got to be altitude valves, but we have the leak in the riser pipe. It could be just because I believe it's called slip-on flanges, where the flange is through it and then the flange comes up behind it and holds it to it.
So it's not flange, the flange is like a,
Yeah,
so like a slip joint type of thing.
Yeah.
Like slide in and make the flange come up.
yep. So we're thinking when we rent the lift, we've tried tightening the bottom one, but I know it's coming from above because I wiped the pipe and I saw it. It's a slow trickle. So when we rent the lift, we'll tighten both of them and see if that's it. And if not, then we'll start cutting away the insulation at the supports to see if that's where it is.
Yeah.
But it could just be that the flanges over time just loosened up or, you know, shrunk or
Often the
whatever.
expansion and contraction of the water, the temperature of the water.
Right. So that could be it.
It's a stainless.
Yeah, it's 304 stainless. So it's hard to get a leak, and I kind of found it hard that a weld would rust that, but we've seen other things rust, so.
Is it an old line?
No, so I want to say that's like 10 years old now.
Oh,
That
okay.
tank's fairly new.
Yeah, they used to use a different style slip-on flange many years ago, Type A. They used to crack at the Vanstone flange.
So it's a slip joint then, so you'd slide,
A slip-on
Yeah,
flange is like
you slide the
a
two
stainless piece with a carbon steel flange that's around it that slides up and
Yeah.
holds the flange surfaces together.
you have carbon steel and stainless steel, so two distinct
But
metals.
it's around
Yeah.
around the pipe. It's not
Okay,
welded to it or part of it. If it's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think it's welded to it, so it's been a long time since I did process piping, but I know that the flange slides up to the face.
Yeah.
And then you put the gasket between the two faces and slide the two flanges together.
If you take the bolts out, the flange drops down, but the flange surface stays up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Vanstone flange or a
Yeah.
slip-on flange.
it's up there.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, the other one, so the other one above it's up.
Yeah.
It's not 60 feet up, but it's probably about 45. So it'll require getting a lift in there. We just wanna wait until it's warm enough that we're not freezing to death trying to do it.
All right, solar.
I haven't had time to look into that. I've been kind of waylaid by other things. It's still sitting there waiting for us.
All right. Water rates, service fees.
So I sent you out the first draft. Maybe you wanna wait
Yeah,
for
we'll
Art to be here and look at that. And I'm almost done with the rate service fees. All the rules and regulations part of it too. I've made some modifications, tried to set schedules A, B, and C's. So if I just have a little more time, then I'll get to it.
Okay.
You've noticed it's quite clean in here.
Yeah?
I thought it's always been clean.
Yeah,
Usually there's some maps and
yeah.
and
So
blueprints and
I
everything
did try to
else.
buy a scanner to get the maps, and things went horribly wrong with Amazon because it was cheaper to buy through the town's account. So a boogie board was shipped to us. And
A boogie board?
I kept telling Andy, I don't think it's come yet. And she's like, she sent me a picture. This is it. You've received your scanner. So I brought it in and cut it open, and sure enough, it was a boogie
A
board.
boogie board like kids would use.
Yeah. It's kind of comical, but it's not because that's a $3,000 boogie board.
Yeah,
So it's in process being sent back, and then I'll order it outward. We'll pay a little more, but I'll know I'll get it from a company. I'm done with that.
Right.
so you did that, and you covered rules and regulations, you're gonna work more on that.
Yep.
That's everything we got on the list. On the agenda. Do you have anything else?
No.
Do you have anything else, man?
So on the lead and copper, we've received a lower sampling thing. We're down to once a year now. I don't know if Manly's gonna trigger us back up to double, but we're still at enhanced at 40. So now instead of doing it twice a year, we only have to do it once.
That'll free up some time.
And we've posted on our website, which the town manipulated, and you guys are now a department instead of government, which I don't think is right, but it's not up to me to say. But we posted it up there, and it's buried deep within the bowels of the town's website that this QR code is sitting there. So anybody who spots it and actually scans the code, they'll receive the test on their phone and can do it.
So those that are listening?
Yeah. After the start of the year, we'll do a mass mailing, but I don't want to send it out while Christmas cards and everything else is going out. It'll just get lost.
Do we not have access to our own?
We do, but the town went and, I don't know who authorized it, who did it, but they wiped out stuff, they moved stuff, they reorganized. And suddenly, if you didn't go in and look, you wouldn't know that your thing got messed up on you.
Right. Okay.
I'm sure there was a reason, but nobody said anything. Communication is not good.
Did you reach out to them?
No, I'm getting enough trouble as it is, so.
Okay. John?
No, I stopped by the Main Street tank the other day. Oh, excuse me, Walnut Street tank, just to take a look at the leak. It's a little drip. It's
Yeah.
up there.
We've got it plastic now,
Yeah.
so it's not hitting
That's
the
good.
plywood.
It's controlled.
Right. But we'll get to it. I just don't want to rent the lift and then it's a 0-degree day and
Right.
that becomes like an ice cube chamber when it gets cold.
Right.
Although currently it doesn't seem that way.
Next week. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Our next meeting is
Tuesday,
the second.
7th.
Oh, it's a holiday.
Tuesday, January 2nd.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think it's the fastest out.